We have the latest now from Russia's war on Ukraine. The Russian military now appears to be blaming its own soldiers for that devastating Ukrainian rocket strike. A senior Russian officer claims the soldiers' use of cell phones enabled forces to target the barracks. Many of the dead are reported to be recently drafted troops. Memorial services were held yesterday in a number of cities in Russia. The Russian military now says that 89 soldiers were killed. Sarah Larniuk tells us why that toll continues to climb.
As we've been following all week, Hillary, that number started off at 15, then rose to 63, and now is pegged at 89. And Russian military officials say that that rising number is only attributed to the fact that they've now had the time to start picking through that rubble at the site and really ascertain how many soldiers were present at the time of the attack. However, that number now pegged at 89 solidifies this as the deadliest attack Ukraine has launched on Russian forces that we know about since the invasion happened last February. The continuing rising of the number seems unlikely to stem that anger we've been hearing from inside Russia, as critics have pointed to Russian military brass saying that they should be held accountable for allowing this attack to have occurred, for having allowed so many soldiers to congregate in one place, and in one place so close to a munitions depot that did cause a number of secondary explosions and just so much devastation at that site in Makiivka.
And a senior Russian officer is pointing to Russian troops themselves, blaming their unauthorized use of cell phones. So what's behind that claim?
It does seem that that claim is used in order to push that blame from Russian military brass and onto those soldiers, because we know that cell phone signals and calls have been repeatedly intercepted and tracked throughout this war by both sides. Both Ukraine and Russia have used this tactic, pinpointing cell phone signals to find where large numbers of soldiers are congregating on a repeated basis. And so we know that's been a common practice. Russia's military brass explicitly said in their messaging released today that that's banned, that soldiers are prohibited from using personal cell phones in a strike zone. However, we know these are also reported to be new conscripts, likely people who wanted to get in touch with friends and family back in Russia, also people who might not have been as familiar with the risk that cell phones pose. Having spent time with Ukrainian soldiers, the radio technology that is largely used in war zones by NATO troops, perhaps, is not widely available to Ukrainian soldiers, and as a consequence, cell phones are still used for military communications. And so it seems unlikely that cell phones will stop posing a security threat to either side anytime soon.
Sarah Larniuk for us in London this morning.